Welcome back to the Authentic Living Show here on 94.9 FM and AM 950 The Word. I'm Courtney Shaw, and on today's show, we're talking about getting our lives in order for 2018. Joining me in the studio is my friend, Dr. Rollan Roberts. He's the CEO of Roberts & Lowe and also former CEO of the Hoverboard Company. He's here to talk about the importance of getting our business in order and having a healthy business for this upcoming year. Welcome, Dr. Rollan.
Thank you, Courtney. It's wonderful to be with you today.
Oh, so good to have you. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year.
It's a new year, thank God, right?
Yes.
We all need
new
a fresh
beginnings
start.
are wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your background and how God really led you into the business world?
Well, certainly. It was by accident because I really just had a heart for ministry and ended up going to a Bible college, and that's kind of where I thought the direction I was going. And it just, at every turn, that was not His will. And I started excelling in business. I started getting the promotions. I started investing. And I learned plenty of hard lessons along the way. I had made several $1 million, ended up, by the time I was 21, ended up losing it, absolutely all of it.
Wow.
And really wondering, in fact, I even owed almost $1 million, and I had to think and decide and pray, is it even worth it? Because, I mean, it's not very inspiring to wake up, in the morning and have to make $1 million just to be broke, just have zero.
And, you speak truth,
so,
my friend.
It's hard enough whenever you're not at zero to have that and
That's right.
that drive. And so there was a lot of course direction along the way, but ended up working at becoming a senior executive at a Fortune 500 company. Went from there to run some other companies, CEO of a $250 million manufacturing company, direct sales, and then the CEO of the Hoverboard Company. But it wasn't until a major life crisis I had already trusted Christ, but it wasn't until a major life crisis that He really got my heart and got my attention, because I thought that I could do both. I thought I could be the CEO of a $1 billion company and be on the road 50 out of 52 weeks a year and have so much order in my professional life that order everywhere else would just fall into place. And the expectation was there, but I never put in the work for it to be there. And that I paid the price for that. And so once the Lord got a hold of my heart in that way, I was able to really recalibrate, and it changed my priorities completely. And
now you had a family at the time too, right?
Yes.
So like you said, you were super hyper focused on bringing, business, order in your business, that something was going lacking. And that was your family life, your personal life. And so now that you've gone through that experience, like you said, you had it all, you lost it all. Same thing with family. You had it all at one time, and now you're in that restoration point. How did you make that transition? What did that look like after God radically got a hold of your heart? I mean, how did you start bringing order in your personal life again?
Well, several things. Number one, it's not an overnight thing. The decision was whenever I remember the moment that He got a hold of my heart, and I made the decision. And now other people, I could say that, but they wouldn't have known because they would judge by certain trappings or certain things that were still connected or ties. But I know the very moment He arrested my heart and got it, and I gave it to Him. But some of the things that practically over the next year and a half that changed was my priorities, where I spent my time. I always used financial metrics as the bar for success and accomplishment. I did not turn to a lot of vices, but I did pour myself into work and achievement, which was, while it did not have as many negative consequences, it still had the negative impacts.
Absolutely.
And so I had to reprioritize. The main thing that I reprioritized was my value system. I clearly thought that my love for the Lord superseded everything else, but my actions, my calendar, my bank accounts were not reflecting that. And so I finally surrendered myself to say, you know what? I don't care if I never get another business accolade again. I don't care if I ever grace the front of another magazine cover. I don't care if I ever do another TV interview. I don't care if I ever am applauded by man again the rest of my life. I am serving you. I'm going to be obedient. I'm doing what you have called me to do now. And you know what's ironic, Courtney, is it was 2 years later that some of the highest achievements I've ever received in my life came, and it was from the work that I did where I thought nobody was ever watching or ever would see. I knew there was no Academy Awards for the kind of work I was doing.
Right, for getting your personal life in order, for being a dad, showing up there, doing carpool, feeding the meals, being a sounding board. Those are things that you do in the privacy of your home, and not everybody's applauding you. Good job, yeah, you're the best dad ever,
Right, yes. Yeah, and then all of the people that I was helping at the time, and there was no fees associated, and so and those are exhausting oftentimes, and so there's no banners for that, but he was watching, and he since the greatest accolades of my life occurred and have been achieved since then, but still they're not the focus. They're not really important. They kind of come and they're just there, but the mission, my purpose, doesn't change.
That's so true. And like you said, your value system changed though, where it was about what was in the bank account, what the world was saying of you. Now is, first of all, what do you say of yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror? What is, the people close to me that know me when I'm not on the stage or I'm not on in front of the microphone or I'm not, making the big deals. What are they going to say of me, of my character, of my heart, of my actions, intentions? And I think, again, when you have that settled, and that's ironclad, that can be such a solid foundation, really, is what you're talking about, is a successful, solid foundation for personal success as well as professional success.
And for keeping it. Authenticity was always very important to me, even running companies. Even it was, I was the same person in the boardroom, on stage, that I was at home. And in fact, excellence for me has always been the standard, not perfection, but excellence.
That's good.
And so I wanted, just like I wanted excellence in sales and in marketing and operations and finance and HR and development and so forth, I wanted excellence at home. I want excellence. I want a clean house. I'll be a part of that. I clean up after myself. I'll clean. I keep things orderly. I organize. I will do whatever I need to do. I'll put the laundry from the washer to the dryer if we don't have somebody doing that.
Ladies, are you listening to this? This is possible.
I'll clean. I'll have the dishes cleaned, because same thing as Christine was mentioning, I cannot stand that clutter.
Sure.
And that is mental clutter. And you will not be successful in life or business with mental clutter.
Well, Dr. Rollan, you really were hitting on, what's working on the inside manifests on the outside. And, this whole thing with clutter that, so many times we try to minimize that, but it's a true reflection, like you said. And so to bring order in our home and our personal relationships will really help us prosper in business. So now I want to kind of transition over. I want to talk about some of the projects that you have going on that are really heart projects. They're passion projects. They're legacy projects. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do with Guys with Ties first and foremost?
Well, certainly. I love giving back and contributing. And I think Guys with Ties, I have so many different passions and would be on all kinds of nonprofit boards if I could. But Guys with Ties really fit well for me to be able to be on one board, but yet affect numerous charities and nonprofit organizations in addressing so many of our social needs today. And so I love being a part of Guys with Ties, and people can learn more about that at guyswithties.org. We host several events throughout the year. We raised over $25,000 last year for different charities, and it's just a pass-through. We were giving all the money that we raised to other charities. And having a great time doing it.
And that's what I love with Guys with Ties, and love partnering with you guys and supporting your events as well. And that's where we actually first met, was at the all-white party, and we partnered with the Down Syndrome Association of Central Florida. And so it was so cool to be a part of being a blessing to that organization and to watch the adults get up and have fun, but also work that runway too and just build that confidence. It was such an amazing celebration.
It really just touched all the hearts that were there, and that's what we do with all of the different organizations that we're part of. We're not just throwing money at it. We're actually serving. We're feet on the street, in that capacity.
And that's why I love your organization. So talk to me a little bit briefly about the CEO Cruise coming up, because I'm really excited about this opportunity for business owners to really get poured into, to get away and build authentic relationships as well.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best one we've ever had. It's a 5-day, 4-night, faith-based, all-inclusive CEO cruise for business people, entrepreneurs. People will be on that boat that you cannot buy their time. They're not for sale. You can't. If you spent $30,000, you couldn't get them for a day.
Couldn't afford them.
And
that's
now
right.
you get them for 5 days, 4-night captive. And the inventor of the McDonald's Happy Meal, people who built massive companies to hundreds of millions of dollars and sold them. Peter, who built his own company with several $100 million in revenue of the Get Motivated Success seminars. People from multiple countries. And so it's just going to be a wonderful time. It's going to be focused on your how to build a huge and successful company and keep your marriage and keep your family and keep your priorities
the things that
straight.
matter most.
Exactly. And also focus on restoring and rejuvenation and eliminating that clutter and doing things with excellence and strategy. And so it's an accelerator and a decelerator just by the environment that it's in.
Well, it's a really unique experience. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that obviously brings in the biblical perspective, because we need that as entrepreneurs, especially as believers. You can't compartmentalize God out of your business. He's got to be at the core of it and the center of it all. And so to have that wisdom, that insight, but how to translate that in our personal lives, I think is so extremely valuable and so needed in our society today, because people feel like, can I have it all? That's the question. And how do you answer that? Can you have it all? Yes or no?
Well, I didn't know what it looked like. I just didn't know. And no one was out there teaching it, which is why I put together the CEO Cruise, because I needed it. And now we found that a whole lot of other people do as well. And that program is January 28th through February 1st. They can get more information at ceocruise.com. There's still a few cabins available. It's just until the ship sells out. And it's going to be a great time. But we really help focus on the critical few versus the trivial many, really distilling what's most important in your life and recognizing that there's a lot of things that we probably need to just stop doing. And we're so focused on the to-do list. And whenever I work with people in crisis, the first thing that I have to do is disrupt their patterns. We have to create the pattern disrupt. This cruise is a pattern disrupt. It gets you out of your 9 to 5 or your 7 to 10,
right?
And it gets you out of your area that you're comfortable in, and it puts you in another locale, and even in a foreign locale with the Bahamas, and allows you to reset and see things that you never saw before. It really is the platform. It's a vehicle. It makes things conducive for you to do a lot more than you ever thought possible this year.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about the Healthy Business Conference coming up as well, because that's on January 25th. It's going to be here in Apopka, and you're going to be speaking. I'm going to be there as well. And talk to me about the importance of having a healthy business in 2018.
Oh, I think it goes in line with everything that we're talking about. And specifically, my focus on helping you have a healthy business is I'm going to address the number one productivity killer in business today. And it's not something that a single person that will attend that would guess that it is. And so I'll come with some solutions for how they can immediately do this. It will create an immediate impact of 30 to 50% increased productivity in their business over the following 30 to 60 days when they implement some of these things, and really addressing the root problem and not all of the extensions that we tend to address in business. So that's going to be the main thing. We'll talk about associations, and we'll also talk about how to handle crisis, because if you do anything worth your salt, you're going to run into some barriers. You're going to screw up. You're going to have to deal with crisis, and how you deal with those is going to determine the outcome. It's not what happens. It's how you handle it.
That's true. It's truly how we respond. And I think, too, it's just not being paralyzed by our mistakes. And I think people have this idea in their mind that they look at successful people like yourself and they're like, oh, they have no issues. They have no troubles. Everything just worked out for them. Yeah. But the truth behind the veil, like you said, sharing your authentic voice today, is you've had great struggle, but you've not allowed it to paralyze you. You've allowed it to really take your mess and turn it into a new message and prepare to leave a wonderful legacy. So, Dr. Rollan, could you give our listeners some of your links where they can get connected with you as well?
Sure. ceocruise.com is the best way, or you can email office@theprompting.com. And certainly look forward to reaching out.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We will definitely have you back in the studio for much more. So God bless you and your business this year and everything you lay your hands to.
Amen.
Well, I want to thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Authentic Living Show. We pray you are inspired, educated, and empowered to find your voice and share it with the world. We love to hear from you. And if you have a specific prayer request or have an idea for an upcoming show, we want you to email us at theauthenticlivingshow@gmail.com. You can stay connected with our community throughout the week on Facebook. We'll make sure to have all of those links from our guests available today and all of the downloads as well. You can also check out the podcast at thewordorlando.com or download our app. May the blessings of the Lord overtake you to take that authentic action this year so you can get your lives in order for 2018. You're listening to the Authentic Living Show here on 94.9 FM and AM 950 The Word, where faith comes by hearing.